We're back to finish off the sculpting and painting for the Xanathar Beholder model. And right now we're going to hop over to the Eyestalks. I haven't done a lot of detailing on it. It's been a little bit of time. It's still a little bit pillowy from my liking. I would maybe still go in here and knock back some of the roundedness on many of these kind of scaly forms that we built. And I would also um, like to go in and maybe carve in a bit more. Let's make sure the detail is low. But avoiding my obsession to do these things is part of the game. So let me just spend just a minute or so switching between E and back to F. And while I'm at it, that reminds me, let's turn back on our keystroke visualizer so everyone can follow along a little bit easier. Let's see if this is creating more detail. Not too bad. And yeah, if my stroke gets to a weird angle here, I'm pretty disciplined about stopping and making sure my arm's not twisting in a funny way. There we go. All right, so let's turn on the visualizer. There we go. You can see my Alt pan control to zoom going in and out there. So yeah, I think a little bit of E, a little bit of crease tool, kind of carving out some more of these shapes, and a little bit of the F, the flatten tool, coming down here and maybe catching this angle here towards the bottom, I think would also be good. So finishing off some of that separation and then flattening a bevel underneath and a bevel on top. Turn off the wireframe so you can see. Now you see those where the two faces meet. That is the essence of good sculpture. One of the essences, getting those forms standing out, not over smoothing, because it's fun to smooth clay, both digital and traditional clay, ceramic clay, wax clay. Very, very fun. And so you have to be careful, kind of like with the pencil. It might be fun to blend and shade, but if you're not disciplined with it, you end up making bad decisions and kind of ruining the look of whatever it is your uh, kind of art or design you're making. Here we go. I'm checking my polygon count, and I'm at 391 triangles. I believe it's a megabyte per 10,000, so 300,000 becomes about 30 megabytes. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure. So when we go to 3D print this character, it should be right about the right size that we want. You see, I'm just kind of re-accentuating some of those shapes. Go down the bottom here. So yeah, that I like those little flattened areas look a little better already. If you turn off symmetry, it won't let you go back to symmetry. So I still have not turned symmetry off to make them asymmetrical. But again, I'll do that at the finish line. Because symmetry is too handy to get rid of this early in the process. We don't want to lose that symmetry, and it saves you a ton of time. In the real world, there's no symmetry button. There we go. And carving back around, you can always hold down shift and smooth these out gently. You see its shift is still, the smooth tool still overly strong, just like it is in ZBrush. So whoops, I hit flat. If I hit F a second time, it will lock the plane, which just happened there. So let me undo that and go back. There we go. Chisel down. So trying to get a few different forms, planes to meet on these. I could turn the strength up here as well. There we go. At least for the flatten. If you catch yourself trying to strong arm your stylus well. Um, that's not good for your hand, so make sure you're not doing that. Oh, I was doing the bottom, wasn't I? There we go. Come back over here. Getting rid of any pillowy forms. Carving back in, chiseling. Maybe it looks like I lost completely underneath here, the form there. And you see it's very rubbery, very more human-like on the lips on the Xanathar for Universal Studio, and a little more reptilian or chitness for the original Waterdeep design for Xanathar. So whatever works for you. You could just smooth this all out and put lines in like human lips. I don't particularly think that looks better that way. You might. The 10 in here, bring it out. My stroke is uneven. There we go. See, a lot of times your quicker gestural stroke is going to hold up better. And I'm doing the face plant right now we talked about in the other videos, where I'm zoomed in way too close, as if I were sticking my face right down on the tablet, drawing tablet. So let me zoom back. See, that's way, way, way too close there. Okay, so now we can go back to my um, flatten brush, and you can really, I got the strength cranked up. There it goes. Can really kind of facet the more chitness, scaly forms of the character. Hold down Shift, go to the smooth brush, and in smooth you can typically bring it down to about there. And so that way, if I hold Shift and I go to the smooth brush, it's not going to wipe out my detail quite so much. It's almost like taking a torch to your wax clay. If any of you have tried that before, you know it is incredibly easy to accidentally just wipe out all your detail, and so you want to be really careful with the smooth brush in any of the digital apps. It seems to be defaulted overly strong in every 3D app, 3D sculpting app, so it's something to be aware of. And carving back around the teeth a little bit, I think that separation works. I could go back to my regular draw brush, check my strength on the size there, and I could bring back out some of the gum area. Check W, make sure it's not, yeah, cool. We're not adding in a ton of detail on accident. It's easy to forget where your detail stroke is at. And if I could hit D, I could turn it off um, too with Q. So Q will turn that detail on and off. You see the shortcut there. And that way you know for sure you're not adding more spider webs. If you're just going in and you're literally just sculpting the existing form out, that helps a lot. So, and that is should be a little stronger, I feel. And you can really see the gum line in there. You can't really see too much with the lips over. There's more of a snarl. He's got his one lip up, like, what does that document say? Why am I reading this? Making up a story for that scene in the splendors of Waterdeep, one of my favorite books. And there's the other one. There we go. And you could even add a little bit more to the gums down here. All right, and then if it gets pillowy, hit the Shift key. You can also go back to E here, and it's got a good strength in there. We can carve back in that separation between the lip and the gum line, looking like up towards it. So kind of getting underneath it a bit better right here. And then looking down camera, you see I'm going fairly quick now. And okay, so the eyelid's all messed up, but I think I just wanted to define the mouth and teeth a little bit more before I went too far. And then right here in the chisel up here, we got kind of a 1-2 plane. I think a third one is necessary here to make that look a little bit better in terms of being a chitness scale. There we go. Yeah, like that better. The front of any of these pillowy separations. And sometimes you're going to fill in a little scale in between. There we go. Okay, so yeah, my obsession to add a little detail in there is, I'm sure most of you share that, right? It's the fun part um, when we go in and paint it as well. It's the extra, things just start getting better to life, better to life. The shader will inevitably start selling it when it starts getting that really good skin, like around the mucus, around the lips and the tongue, all that good stuff. Okay, so let's save what we have there. So I'm going to save this, my speed sculpt 3, and let's do an eye stock for this guy. So I'm going to add a sphere, and I'm going to add the object to the model. If I go to the middle, it'll go one single. If I go out here, it'll do an eye. So if I go here and click one time, it's going to switch over for me. I can then go to the grab brushes on global. You can see the G's on right there. So I can grab this and I can move it down. And we could also do the eye, whoops, right now. So it's going to be hard to work inside in this application, to be honest. Doesn't lend itself too well. So let's go ahead and just do the eye. Whoa. Yeah, XYZ global. There we go. And all the way down. There we go. I think that should be about good right there. And I still got symmetry on. So let's go into the draw brush and let's make, whoops, let's hold down control and let's make a nice circle here. Hit Q, turn strength back on. That way, there we go. We're going to add the detail. We don't need the detail in the outer part of the eye. We do want the detail in here. All right, so we go a little bit more. And of course, there's tons of tools in ZBrush to make a nice, perfectly round circle. Control tap an empty space, and you'll see it did the other body too. So we got to be careful. We'll go in here to the crease tool and let's carve in some fun areas for the where the retina is going to be open here in the middle. There it goes. Cool. Zoom in a little bit. You can see. And I don't have a reference. I should have a little closer. You just got to have a cat's eye, dragon's eyes, as we might call it. So I'm going to be a little rough. Try to be rough and quick with this. Not. I'll have a whole tutorial just on eyeballs for sure. There it goes. Yeah, still adding a lot of detail. And then if I smooth it out a little, go back in here and same idea, Alt. Just gonna pull these up back into the eye, and you can. And these I believe these are like little muscles, right? That these little strands with the color in the eye. There we go. Maybe give it a little bit more dimension. Alt, pull them back around. They kind of curve around and they control the opening and closing of this, the lighting, right, that goes into the eye. Kind of pulling up the side of the edge here around the rim. There we go. Oh, that's pretty creepy. Cool. Creepy's good. He's a beholder. All right. And maybe a little bit, whoops, maybe a little bit more down there. Okay, and we could do some asymmetry a little later. I think I'm going to leave this for now. Maybe a little on the ridge there, another one down. A little bit more down right there. I'm just kind of pushing in, like if you look at it from the side, there we go. And then I can go around this whole thing with the draw brush and I can kind of make a little border, if you will, that goes around. There we go. And then I can control tap one time and I can go back around here as well. The draw brush and you can see where it's adding a little bit of detail. I'll clear the mask in just a moment. I know it's not a perfect circle. It's okay. Shh, don't tell anyone. There we go. All right. So, whoops. So how to get this eyeball in there is going to be a trick. So I'm going to maybe go into Sculpt GL for that. So I'm going to leave the eyeball there because I can't seem to um, separate once you have the two pieces together. It doesn't have any layering. If it just had a layering system, it would have been absolutely baller. But yeah, it is what it is. So I'm going to leave that like that for a minute, and let's go to the Eyestalk. So we'll go in here, and I'm going to add a new sphere, add the object, do the middle. Just going to do one. There we go. And now I can't do any masking if I'm doing these together, so I could do it as a separate piece, but I'm just going to go for this right now. And it's pretty low poly. I'm going to scale it down, which is T. Make sure that all three axes are about there. I'm looking at the reference here. I really like the almost like lamp swivel joints compared to this little like kind of fire hose looking one they did, but scarier, right? It's all depends on what you want. So now I can go in here and we can grab this piece here and we can start pulling the clay up a little time, go sideways here. And I'm kind of using the line here to guide me a bit, but I'm not worried too much. Oh, Q is turned on. It is on. Okay, so I should be getting just a little bit of extra triangles here as I tap it. But if you turn it up a tiny bit more, then if I go to the inflate brush, which is C, here and kind of blow this up as I pull the clay. So be careful when you do a big long stretch pull like that for like horns or teeth or whatnot. It can definitely start crumpling in on itself. And so you got to watch that tip right there. So I'm just kind of smoothing that down a bit and making sure I don't let it get too out of hand. There we go. And go back to the side view, go back to my grab brush and just keep on pulling our little infinity clay. And at the base here, you can see there's like a little mound that it connects to. So I'm going to maybe start designing the bottom to it a little bit. And this will be real loose and sculptural. I'm going to try to keep it that way on purpose. So precision will be in if you're using Maya or Blender, then what I would do is I would really have a piece. We'll do that for the advanced one. I have my Eyestalk already just with a cylinder with some scaling and some edge lip insertion. But in here, this is a fun way to work because I don't have to worry about any other complicated software. I could just do it right in here, which makes it awesome. All right, push this down using the opposite, using Alt with the draw brush and kind of looking at how I'm going to form the shape. It's getting really lumpy. Shift to smooth it out. Shift to smooth it out. Almost like, see, yeah, it does look bony like, doesn't it? Yeah, almost like a tooth with a root, the nerve sticking out. I think it's because I have the strength up. That's why, yeah, maybe I don't want the strength up quite that much. There we go. And then if I do want to flatten this out, I go to F, flatten, hit it a second time to lock the plane, and I can really pull this out to be flat to the chosen surface. And that's super handy to use. See, it was off a little bit, so undo that. Come around here and go, okay, what about right here? Is that going to be flat to the not quite? So It's a bit of a crapshoot. There we go. Um, but again, this is like a very organic form, and I'm not worried about it being perfect. There we go. Shift to smooth it out. Smooth, smooth, smooth. And bring it in. And I'm struggling a little bit on this one because it is, I was doing the cylinder form in the other app, but I figure what the hell. Let's just struggle through it together. You can see how I kind of try and save a form like this one. There we go. And it's tilting off to the side a little, so I can just go to my grab brush again, try and get it centered up here. And I'll kind of pre-do a bend. I think would be the easiest way to do this, and then I can um, make changes to it later. So that's what's going to make this a little bit easier than the straight one that we would have it really rigid for rigging and whatnot. Is this one's going to have? I'm going to go one, two. I have two joints, maybe even a third one towards the end. One, two, one, two. Looks like there's almost a three there. So yeah, we'll see how this comes out. Um, Still in the grab brush, so I want to straighten out that first one, and we'll do a joint right there, and then I'll do another joint right there, and then once I have one done, I will go back through and you know reposition, make some differences, make some changes to it. So this is working out okay now, a little bit better. Yeah, it did crumple on itself right there. There it went. Whoops. So watch out for that. Use smooth and then the inflate brush right away. And keeping it centered, doing one that's centered like to the world axis really helps with the long, doing detail on a long, thin form like this. Same thing for the tongue. Um, and sometimes when you do a tooth or a horn, if it's way off to the side, like in the corner, and you're trying to work on it, you can't really use symmetry anymore. So there we go. Getting there, getting there. There it goes. Cool. It's a little whiter for the lens, so I'll go snap it to the side here, go to my grab brush, and kind of pull this kind of, whoops, lamp shape. Click off there on accident for a minute. There we go. I can go to the side here and I can push this back in. There we go. And shift to smooth, bring that up, bring that down, and I'll just make another sphere for the eye. Ah, that's gross. Yeah. That's why I'm not making cute little Muppet characters. It almost looks like an elephant trunk at the moment. I've done some elephant trunks before. That's kind of, I think, just lends itself naturally to this type of a shape. Yeah, let's get rid of that little bump in the middle. Yeah, I might leave it. We'll see. A little bit more even. Elephant trunk. Yeah, there we go. Go back to my inflate. Easy way to get rid of that shape. Inflate. Smooth it back around again a little bit. Go back to my draw brush. And let's fill in some of that gap here in the inside here. Then with clay turned on, that should fill in any cavities, any peaks and valleys in between. You see how the clay buildup kind of builds it up to the even surface, working surface, which is really nice. And smooth it out a little bit as I go. Go back to my flatten brush. Careful, I did have it on lock plane last time, so I'll go in there and unlock the plane, literally. There we go. It's getting a little bit more angular. Liking that better. Shift to smooth, go back in the side here, lock on the bottom, lock around the bottom of the inside of the cavity, go up underneath here, and there we go. Go back to the draw brush, and let's get more of that kind of like a like an old-fashioned car headlight lamp, right? It's got kind of a light beam look to it, I think originally. There it goes. And go back to my grab brush. Um, let's see. There we go. Yeah, let's get some more of that this chitness. There's a little bone knobby area there. So let's go to the crease tool and let's make sure this thing can bend and move effectively. So at this point, I might look at some crabs and shrimp and other like sea creature chitness type of forms I think would be cool on here. And see how they're hinged. Yeah, it's getting a little detail in there. Back to the draw brush. And if I hit D, turn clay off, you can see now it's going to leave. Um, the strokes will kind of, they'll build up over the top of each other. So you do one stroke here and then another, it'll add to, when it goes over the other one. Whereas if I have clay turned on, each one's going to come even up even to the other. So it's important to add that bit of detail again. There we go. And in the middle, maybe make it a little more bony. There we go. Yeah, once you do one, there's 10 of them on the creature, so that'll be pretty badass to just repeat, duplicate this thing, right? So in the real world, we'd have to make a mold and then duplicate it, or literally make 10 different ones, right? And so here, digital, we can just replicate this thing once we're done. Same thing I did with the teeth in Maya, so I'll show you that in a moment. The other eye stalk here, we go. Okay, and then keep that hinge nice and deep. Maybe accentuate that separation. And you can see a bunch of like wrinkles and rings around that one. A little bit bigger, and we'll pull up. See if I can get a nice long stroke all around, then push back next to it. All right, pull up, push down, and next to it, do the opposite. So pulling up again, all the way around, and behind it, push down. And we can make the brush a little bigger as needed to go faster. I am a little face planted on a little zoomed in a little close. All right, there we go. And then go back to my draw brush. The little knobs are kind of creepy. I might add those in just to see if some of the original ideas make sense for this design. Do one underneath. And then maybe create that separation again. And it's kind of lumpy, bumpy. Watch out for the lumps. And carve that back again. And make a separation there. There we go. Okay, yeah, kind of cool. Bring out some more of the draw brush with the clay out here. So I'm kind of doing draw brush and flatten, draw brush, flatten, draw brush down here, and flatten again, and crease back off of there again. Maybe a little smaller at the bottom, so maybe it hinges a little easier. Bigger at the top, like a knuckle might be, right? There we go. Cool. It's a little narrow from the top there. I noticed that earlier and I neglected to fix it, so I don't think I wanted it quite that wedge-like in shape. I do want it maybe a little narrower from the side. It'll snap to the side, hold down Shift. One here with a nice big brush and just watching the wireframe for a minute. Double checking nothing's getting too wonky in terms of the overall arc flow of the shapes. Could still maybe crunch these, our elephant trunk a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And snap again the side, and that should be okay. A little bigger. There we go. Get an overall arc flow that works for this shape. And zoom back a little and fix this part up as well. And I'm close to be calling this done. Yeah, one more. Maybe maybe blow that back up with the inflate tool a little more. Make sure. And we'll add that one last knuckle down over here. There we go. Yeah, maybe even back a little farther. Let's go like all the way to here, maybe. And let's go a little faster. I was getting a little face planted, a little too close. Face to the screen there. Go back here and do some bigger, broader gestural strokes. Bring it out. Remember, the closer you are, the more detail it's going to add. So you got to be constantly vigilant. Um, I like that part of the interface. You just got to make sure that it's you're controlling it and doing those adding detail when you want to and not overdoing it when it makes sense. I'm gonna go back to zoom in a little bit more down here as we're getting close to the bottom over there, and switching between D and F to get that like flatten chisel. Right, it looks like I got it on lock. I'll just leave it on like that. Kind of moves a little bit faster. And then up above this, I can maybe separate a big hinge right here. Again, you could do your crustaceans and creatures and go back to the clay buildup and just spin around that loop. There we go. Maybe find out why it's all kind of funky right there. And it looks like, yeah, at the pole, at the symmetry line, sometimes it will triangulate a little funny right in here at the right at the symmetry line. You can see the little, should be a gray symmetry line. But yeah, it's feeling very bony. I like it. Back to grab. Cool. Yeah, that works. Okay, go back to E. Very whoops. Careful with the crease tool being that big from that far away. Alt, pull it back up. Pull back up all the way around. And next to the pull, push back down again. And check the wireframe on that's okay. You can hit Q. It's on still, so yeah, I'm still adding my detail. Just double checking. To check myself there for a second. Maybe a little closer in here at the edge, right here and here. Yeah, see what I mean? It kind of behaves strangely through there. Go back to my draw brush. There it goes. That's going to add the detail, maybe too much, but I can always brush that back out. But I didn't like how it was behaving with the triangulation there, so yeah, your call. Let's check my triangle. Yeah, I'm at a 500,000 now, so yeah, I will have to brush some of this out for sure. There we go. And go back to crease again. And then a little large there. I don't know, it doesn't look as natural as I would like. I go back to Y, reduce brush, and I'll just kind of crank the strength up on the reduce brush. And there we go. And it'll very quickly get rid of unnecessary triangles in pretty fast order. There we go. So I just reduced it down a few 10,000 or so. There we go. And yeah, let's get this working a little better. And let's see if I can make these two sides meet up next to each other. There we go. And then maybe crease in the middle of this one so I have like a little thinner ring. And then see as I go all the way around this form, I think I'm going to bring back up those ridges. There we go. Looks a little less symmetrical. It was looking too symmetrical, like mechanical. And so this way, there we go. There we go. This way, it looks a little more natural. You hit X on the keyboard, so I don't have to hold the Alt key down the whole time. And I can kind of bring this ridge, that ring, maybe push this one back over here as well, close to the down here. Hit X, go back in again, and maybe go around this whole thing. Does a bit like a donut rings, like those little kids' toys. Put the donut rings on the wooden stick. Here we go. Okay, there we go. I don't know. Got to get this thing done. Yeah, bring it back up all the way around again, and okay, let's get that last knuckle done. D and small enough brush, maybe snap to maybe that angle does or doesn't work, something like that. There we go. Maybe at the beginning. Here we go, right there. Okay. Whoa. Why? Paint that out. Yeah, mastering the distance, that's something I'm maybe out of practice, but mastering the distance of where you're at with the stroke with the intensity at just the right setting is pretty awesome once you get it back in a groove. I'm just kind of um, out of practice on that particular front here. And I keep hitting the P key. I'm not sure what that does. There we go. This flatten lock to plane is pretty awesome right here. This is getting me some fun results to play with. So I'm gonna run with that a little bit here. The F is locked in, right? And that kind of gives it some, it tapers it for me a bit better, I think, than what I had before. There. Yeah, I get some long straight strokes. It was getting a little lumpy, which happens a lot with both digital and traditional clay. So you want to avoid the lumps when at all possible. So I can bring this out as well using the lock on and then lock it here and lock it there. And that is, I think that looks cool. I think that's a little more um, some bones and tendons are kind of coming together in there. Nice. Maybe see right here, it's a little lumpy, like it undulates too much. And so let's do the same thing. Let's bring this back here a little bit more. Yeah, maybe right there, underneath. Smooth it out. And if it's pillowy under here as well, you can definitely get that plane lock to help. Whoa, go too sloppy. And it's not, I can't see it in there, whoops, but I'm thinking that we do want to add a little bit more of the scale detail since we're going to replicate this thing, make 10 copies of it, might as well put that last finishing touch on here before we call it done. So doing the final minor details that I started a little bit earlier, and now this almost allows it to have like a mouth, like a blink mechanism in there. We could, we could also, we could make an animatronic puppet out of this, which is on my to-do list. We're definitely gonna do a helmet, a mask, beholder mask, and we'll do a puppet too. There we go. Sometimes you got to hit that F key a second time, get it off the plane lock, and then back in there. There it goes. Cool. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot. So it'll match more around the eyelid and around the mouth, even if maybe that wasn't in the original design. Um, I'm thinking that's going to work out really well. And then maybe the eyelid part, or if there's any tissue there or not, don't know yet. We'll see what we decide to do. Zoom in to get a little more detail. And I think that is a good place to have the detail. I think maybe down here around the base too, um, some larger forms, larger scale areas where it kind of connects to the head. And if I want, I can pull up around the base as well a little, and then hit F on the keyboard, and then I could flatten it out. Isn't it great being able to make all this with just a few brushes? I think Pixelogic really lost it. Even Nomad Sculpt, as cool as it is, like they really just, what do you call it? UI bloated it so bad that, again, you don't want to sit down and just get to sculpting. You got to go to this menu and then that menu. I just want to sculpt, man. I just want to make something and paint. Sculpting and painting shouldn't involve 50 menus. I mean, that's just silly to me. Get it? Maybe make this a little bit more. Um, feel a little bit more organic with some extra skin pieces in there. There we go. Maybe break this hinge out there. And up here in the bone. Maybe come back off a little bit. Maybe some pieces like in here. Oops. Don't go too small with the brush. Make sure there's another separation up there at the other hinge. At least hint at it. Looking at like the tendons, like under the wrist, in areas like that, like where it comes up, you grip your hand underneath the palm, right? And thinking about all these things from years of anatomy and practice, you just get better and better at this as you continue to make new forms and continue to make new monsters, new hybrids, new chimeras. Super fun. I'm gonna cut that in half there. There we go. And then come up here and finish this off right here. Do the same thing. Go up and then go crisscross. Maybe carve in there. Maybe bring another. Whoops. Yeah. Carve in there. Bring another tendon out there. Carve in here and bring another tendon out there, and then have it carved back. against that bone. Bring that out, smooth it a little bit. I got my stroke got sloppy. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, I think, for now. I could knuckle this out a bit more to finish. You could look at the silhouette, zoom way back, and say, okay, where's it working? Where's it not working? Whoops. Did we get too thin? Did we get too straight? Does it start to look fake? Does it start to look, yeah, this looks very organic. I can see why now for the universal ride they didn't make it want to make this too scary. This is already looking pretty creepy. I, proud of myself, if I do say so myself. It's nice and creepy little design with clear inspiration from the original. So shout out to do an artist profile on him. There we go. Eye of the Beholder, art of the original D&D. That's a great documentary you can watch. Oh, I didn't do the top here. Yeah, making sure you don't totally skip. I think in rapid prototyping, you just want to like touch. So I'm kind of racing, almost racing around here, and you want to touch spots and make sure that you don't um, neglect anything. Like have one area that's totally undone and have all this detail in another area that'll look really horrible. So, whoops, if you can, the finish line here, just kind of try and find some rhythms and patterns and strokes that you can do. Same thing if you're conceptual art, drawing, illustrating. You can turn that off, zoom back again. All right, definitely, definitely happy with that now that I see it again. I think the eye stalk at the end got a little small-ish. That if that's just me, don't know, but I'm going to maybe blow it up a little bit like that, and then maybe yeah, let's make it a little bit bigger, a little more. That and that. Oh wow, on the top. Oh, that's kind of cool. Get that lamp, headlamp shape back out again. Okay, there we go. All right, done. Let's see if we can't replicate this thing and bring it in. Oh, I'm backwards. Haha, didn't even know. How funny. All right. And it's a little small too, so let me scale global, so T and T again. And go in here and just make it a little bit bigger. Rotate this thing global, and we'll rotate it. Whoop, not that way. Uh, let's see if I can. The rotation tool in here always vexed me, to be quite frank. It's only going one direction no matter what, where I go with this. Yeah, see, I mean, just real basic stuff, man. If they had just, if they just did a little bit on this, it would have been just an amazing tool. Yeah, I'm messing that up. Totally messing that up. Okay, so I'm going to take the eyeball, place it in there with the stock. I'm at 640. Let me clear the 640,000 triangles. So I'm going to go in here with the reduce brush, R or Y, I'm sorry, and with a nice high strength, I'm just going to kind of stroke along. You can see a lot of the webbing popping off there. It just went down almost 100,000 already. Nice. Get inside. You don't need a detail inside the eye. Probably too much on here still. Yeah, I want the quality at least good enough to 3D print. So if this one eye stock, and we put the eye in there, we got to be careful. And then there we go, down to 510,000. Zoom back. This is gonna be a tough one. Go in here. These parts here and this parts of the eye. I just dropped it down to 400. Wow, there's a lot there. Okay. Yeah, probably. Here we go. I'm just using my mouse at this point. I should probably, yeah, definitely don't need all this. Ooh, around there as well. 425,000, cool. And back here, reduce brush is awesome. Just looking for dense spiderwebby areas of triangles that maybe aren't holding up any silhouette or aren't holding up any detail. Woo! I just wiped that out, didn't it? Zoom way back, go a little bit weaker, and there's the oof. Let's see how it goes. Definitely don't need that there on the side of the eyeball. Inside the iris here, let's see. And am I down to what now? 300. Okay, I'm under 400,000 again. That's good. Um, make sure everything's smooth. There's nothing like actual folding problems, crumpling of the geometry. A little bit extra detail underneath. Yeah, yeah. Touch, touch. There. And 390,000. Okay, cool. We'll call it done. All right, let's replicate the eye. Let's put the eyeball in, set an eyeball up here in the Eyestalk, make 10 of them, and then we'll bring it back into Sculptress and we'll do some final posing. All right, we'll see you in the next one.